All right, here we go again. I'm not sure what was happening.
Sarah Schoenfeld. I'm interviewing Dallas Jones at the Armed Forces Retirement Home on Monday, September 23rd, 2013 in Washington, D.C. This interview is part of the D.C. Gardeners Oral History Project, sponsored by the Neighborhood Farm Initiative and the D.C. Humanities Council. Dallas, thank you for talking with me today. Can you start by sharing your full name and your date of birth?
Yeah, well, my name is Dallas Jones. I'm originally from North Carolina, and I'm now in the Armed Forces Retirement Home here in D.C.
Okay. And where in North Carolina are you from?
Halifax County.
And can you tell me when you were born?
I was born in Duplin County, North Carolina.
Okay.
About 100 miles south of where I lived.
Okay. And when were you born? What was the date and the year?
1423.
March 14th, 1923?
Yes.
Okay. Great. Thank you. Can you tell me a little bit about your childhood, who you lived with as a child, and just a little bit about growing up in Halifax County?
Be glad to. Most of my growing up was in Duplin County. I moved to Halifax County until I was 15 years old.
Okay, so Duplin County.
15.
Okay.
From Duplin County.
Is that, how do you spell that?
Duplin. Duplin.
Okay.
And growing up, my dad was a tenant farmer. That's a bad place to be in a depression. We were very poor. We had a very hard time making meals. But we had a big family, 13 children in my family. And we all managed to eat. And I don't ever remember going hungry, but somehow my mother and dad managed. How, I don't know. That was through the 33. Actually, we had one depression, come out of it, and had another one, and then went into another one when we moved to Halifax County. The first depression, my dad had got a bad landlord who took everything he had. We moved from his place. He had the sheriff come out and went because one of his mules had gotten killed. We were near the river, and he jumped in the river. Somehow, two trees are this far apart. His head went between them, and it was about 20 feet down, and he hung himself.
Oh.
You might say. But anyhow, that was a kind of incident that happened, and the landlord held my dad responsible.
Oh.
Which the only thing we had was a milk cow. He took the milk cow.
Wow.
But anyhow, there was humane people around, and they gave us another place to stay, and we started farming for them. Made it good for them that year. And the next year, my dad, some people that we knew from Duplin County, Beulahville, where I was born, gave him an opportunity to take over their estate. They had both died, and none of the children wanted to stay there, so they moved out and left furniture, everything that the children didn't want was still in the house.
Wow.
So that was a big lift for us, and we kind of came out of the depression for 4 or 5 years. 5 years we lived in Duplin County, Roseville. It was a good time for us, but we got a chance during the Roosevelt administration to buy their own home, the government support. So that was up here in Halifax.
Okay.
And that's when we moved to Halifax.
Okay.
Part of Roosevelt's renewal plan, NRA, and all the other all the other things that they had going, which turned out to be terrible. We were, even though the government was subsidizing us, they didn't subsidize us enough for the number of children we had.
Yeah.
Dad had. And so he went to work on the WPA type thing, and I quit school or started farming when we moved up to this area. I was doing the farming that was getting done under his supervision, and I say it wasn't very, very good farming. But we then, to begin with, this place that we lived on, the house only had a house on it, and woods. Everything else was woods. They were supposed to clear 40 acres,
right,
which they never did do. But we moved to another place that did have cleared land, and then this is getting along about 38, 39. We, of course, made better crops, made good crops, and started to come out of it in 1940. I joined the Navy.
Okay.
And that was before the war started. I was sent to Hawaii, and
okay.
I was in Hawaii, I was in Pearl Harbor when the war started.
Okay.
I guess that'd be enough.
Yeah,
I spent most of the whole war in combat flying naval aircraft.
Okay. Wow.
But farming in Duplin County is a whole lot different than it is up here. But it's similar, it's still farming.
Yeah.
The land here is much different. We had a sandy loam, and this is a hard land. You can I never seen you can have it broke up, and it rains, and get mucky.
Mm-hmm.
2 days later, it gets like a brick.
Right.
So it's
A lot of clay in the soil here. In fact, we had a thriving brick industry here in DC for a long time.
And the plan we have, I have 2 local residents that are working with me.
Mm-hmm.
My health isn't bad, isn't good enough that I can do a whole lot of work.
Right.
I can show them and tell them how to do things.
Great. Yeah.
They're a very, very fine couple
Okay.
that I'm working with.
Yeah, you gave me the name of Sarah. Well, you gave me her first name and her phone number, so maybe I may have the opportunity to interview them as well. I haven't called her yet, but maybe we'll do that.
Well, they both work, so
I'd have to do it in the weekend or evening or something. Yeah.
But they still come around, pick me up, and we go out and look at the garden. He and most of them garden, but Sarah and I, we go out and watch the moonlight, not the moonlight, but the sun go down.
Yeah,
and,
that's nice.
And watch stuff grow.
Yeah.
Actually, we got a little stuff left in the garden, and it's getting kind of late. And Sarah's planting all types of winter greens.
Yes, so am I right now.
Oh yeah, she's I kind of backed out when she asked me if this is all right, if that's all right. I said,
Go ahead.
So she's kind of running the show, and I
Uh-huh.
presume she will after this.
Uh-huh.
I don't expect to be around forever.
Well, you seem like you're doing pretty well right now.
Well, I am, but
Yeah.
not as well as I look.
Okay. Can you tell me a little bit more about, I want to know about what you grew when, what kind of stuff was your family growing when you were a child growing up? What did you grow as a tenant farming family?
In Rose Hill, in Gupin County, at the time we were there, they were growing a whole lot of truck farming, raised corn to sell and to sell as roofers. A lot of beans. We sell by the acre, acres of beans, strawberries.
Okay.
And those type things helped us a lot. The landlord said you grew all those you wanted.
Okay, so those are the things you grew for yourselves to sell?
Yeah.
For your own benefit?
But the money crop was tobacco.
Okay.
And that always is in that part of the country. The big money crop is in tobacco.
Okay.
And he allowed us to raise give him half of what we made off the tobacco. He furnished the fertilizer and everything. We had nothing to furnish except the labor.
Okay. And you paid him for half of whatever you made on the sale of the tobacco?
Yes.
Okay. But for the corn and the beans and the strawberry, that was all you sold fully for your own benefit?
Yeah.
You didn't have to pay him for that stuff? Okay. And did he provide assistance in growing that stuff as well with the fertilizer and?
We had stables there, and they had, for instance, the mules that we used back in those days.
Okay.
And fertilizer, everything we needed actually.
Okay.
He furnished, and we did the work. As I say, it was hard times when we first went there. We didn't have anything. Of course, my dad went out, and that part of the country used to have long-leaf pines, and he had cleared land and left the stump. With long-leaf pines, when you leave a stump, it turns to what we call fat lightwood. It's solid. Material. It's
what do you call it that it turns to?
We call it lightwood.
Lightwood.
It isn't so light, but it's too good to light a fire by. It burns real good. Splinters, you have splinters to get your fire started with and all that. So my dad would dig those up and bust them up home to the people in the city and sell them for $1 a load to get some of the things we needed.
Okay. And what kind of food did you all eat yourselves during that time growing up?
My brother used to say we eat the best and sell the rest.
Is that true?
Yeah.
So you have good memories of the food that you ate?
We got it fresh off the vine.
Uh-huh.
So we would package it up, and they had specified ways of packaging this stuff that we were selling in town. The truck would come around once a week and the buyers would come around and buy the corn or the beans or whatever was in season.
Okay.
And we managed to make quite a bit by the selling those items.
Okay.
And as I say, we had the house was furnished actually when we moved in. So that was like heaven to us, really, moving in. Because most of the houses we lived in had been run down.
Uh-huh.
We could move furniture we had on a mule and cart. You know what a cart?
Uh-huh.
The last move we made, we put it all on the cart. Of course, we didn't have a mule then, but we got a mule from our landlord, or next landlord. A mule and cart.
Uh-huh.
Moved on that. So I had quite a childhood. I joined the Navy, and I really enjoyed 20 years in the Navy.
Uh-huh.
And that, from that reason, I can be
Here. Yeah. That's great.
20 years in the Navy. And
yeah.
That's one of the requirements.
You're right. Do you have to serve a certain length of time to be able to live here?
Pardon?
Do you have to serve a certain length of time to be able to live here?
Well, that's kind of controversial with me and the administration. They say, so I guess they're right.
Uh-huh.
Anyhow, they say no.
Uh-huh.
They say if you serve one day in a war zone and you serve one day in the Navy, and one day of which was in a war zone, then if you are destitute, you can move in here.
Oh, okay.
Or if you are physically unable to make a living,
Okay.
you can move. But these are actually counter to what I had to require. I had to be able to walk in here and sit. And if you've got 20 years, you have to be able to walk in here and have to be able to physically able and financially able to pay the amount that they charge.
Huh.
So that's I'm not.
Yeah, we don't have to go into it too much. I was just curious. Yeah.
But,
Well, maybe the rules have changed since you've arrived. How long have you been here?
a year and a half.
Oh, okay.
Let's see, February 1st. It was a year ago.
Okay.
Do the math.
All right. Do you recall any? Well, I wanted to ask actually, what specific jobs did you do on the farm? You and your siblings. Yeah. Did you have specific roles in growing the tobacco or the vegetables, the fruits and vegetables?
We did everything I needed to do.
Yeah.
Each of us did whatever in season.
Right.
It changed as the season changed. Growing tobacco, first thing you had to do was make a tobacco bed and grew the plants to set out in the field for the tobacco. And then, of course, when the plants get up big enough, we have to set them out one at a time. And we have a transplanter. We plant, say, 10 acres of tobacco. That's a couple of feet apart.
Okay.
That's quite a bit of work.
Yeah.
And we have to water it because near dry season, we water it as we plant it. And it had to have water to each hill as we plant it.
What did you use to water?
Or,
What did you use to water each plant? Did you have were you carrying water with you? Or did you have some kind of hose attached to something? Or
we had a tobacco truck that we would make a 55-gallon one, set on the truck and take it out in the field.
Okay.
And as we needed it, we make it 5 gallons at a time.
Okay.
To the people who were operating they had we call it the tobacco setter, which was nothing more than a tank. And on one side of it was another opening. It went down like a pipe.
Okay.
Went down the side of it. That we dropped the plant down that side, and the water released the water on the opposite side.
Okay.
So we had them separately.
I see.
Watered and dropped the plant separately.
You're dropping the plant down from the truck also then, or?
From the plant, no, you got an armful of plants.
Oh, okay.
You just got them in your arm.
Okay.
You keep a bucket full of whatever you have to hold.
Okay.
And it's, to tell you the truth, people at the home, I'm kind of arrested. I don't jump out front. We sit around about a half a dozen of us at the table talking. They talk. And I'll say, fine, I said, hold it. I want to say something. And I spent half an hour telling them how to grow tobacco.
Yeah.
During the Depression.
Yeah. Well, it's pretty interesting, actually. I mean, then how long? So, if we're planting 10 acres of tobacco, how long would that take?
Well, it depended on how much help you had, of course.
Yeah.
We would exchange sometimes. The farmers would exchange families, would help each other, but we didn't really do a lot of that in Roseville. We had enough in our family that we could handle it. I would say it would take 2 weeks at least to set it up.
Yeah.
And that's starting early in the morning, late in the evening.
Yeah. And when you were growing the seedlings, would you where did you grow the seedlings before they got transplanted into the fields? Where did you grow the seedlings before they were transplanted into the fields?
Oh, you had to pick a spot that is on the south side of the wooded area.
Okay.
It's sunny.
Okay.
Side, and we went out and burned a lot of limbs and stuff laying around in the woods on that area to kill some of the seed of the weeds and that would be coming up.
Okay.
And then when this we had to plant them before the last frost, so we had to make we could put a log on all sides of it, and then we had what we call, I don't know, it's like a veil material. I can't remember what we call it.
Like a cover, like a row cover or something, right?
Like 3-foot widths and 100-foot length. We sew those 3 foot together with whatever width we had our tobacco in.
Okay.
And then we put some nails in the wood and hook this over all the nails all the way around.
Okay.
And then when it really gets warm, you can take it off and so it don't overheat the tobacco.
Okay.
But tobacco typically likes warm weather. I've been threatening, but I never have got around to doing it, to grow some tobacco and cotton.
I'll fix that. I had to turn it on when I came in here.
Okay. Sometimes you walk in here.
Maybe it'll just go back on.
I saw somebody walk.
Well, if not, then we can,
Let's see, I saw somebody walk by out here and then they threw a switch out
oh, the switches are in here, I think. No. Here it goes. I got it. I just pressed this.
there.
It just probably went off automatically because it had been a certain length of time.
Didn't see a lot of activity in here.
Right. What did you just mention? You just mentioned something other than tobacco. Something else you grew.
Well, my dad.
Oh, cotton. You just mentioned cotton.
Yes.
Is that? Did you grow cotton too?
I said I threatened to bring tobacco and cotton. I'm going to raise 2
It's
trees.
just growing here.
Grow down in the garden.
Yeah.
Just to let people see
Yeah,
what it
just to
looks
show
like.
people.
I'm not sure how well it would have grown because it likes the sandy loam.
And real warm, hot weather, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it gets hot enough here. I'm probably in the summer, right?
It's hot enough we could grow it at least partly away. It didn't get completely ripe.
Right.
We raised bright leaf tobacco,
Okay.
which there's 2 different kinds. Some people raise it to cut the whole stalk, but in bright leaf tobacco, we get it when it gets ripe, 3 leaves at the bottom each week. We bake off 3 leaves
Okay.
and take it up to the barn, and the people and put it on a stick
Okay.
with twine,
Okay.
and then we hang these sticks in this tobacco barn. Usually you've probably seen them out around the south.
I've seen them, yeah.
16 foot or so, and then when we get through bringing that back in at night, we get usually after night before we get back in from the field cropping, because we have to get a full barn in a day so they can start curing it the next day.
Right.
So then we have to go up in this barn and hang this tobacco that they have to put on sticks. The sticks about yay long and about 5 foot long.
Okay. So you just lay the leaves over the sticks and let them hang?
In the barn, there's they have poles that distance apart in the barn.
Okay.
And on the stick, we just hang it on those tiers, we call it. Have tiers.
Okay.
The same distance apart as the things with enough to hang it on.
Wow.
There.
Yeah.
And then you have to start yellowing the tobacco first before you can cure it. So you have to get it real yellow by running the temperature up to 90 or 120 degrees to yellow it.
Okay.
Then,
so you do that in the barn?
it's tobacco's in the barn.
Okay, so you create heat just by closing more windows or something?
No,
I mean, or how do you do? What do you do?
I missed that.
Yeah.
Inside that barn,
Uh-huh.
but you've seen the outside.
Yeah.
Back in those days, we had a furnace that ran all the way through the barn.
Okay.
It was about 5 foot.
I have seen
Oh.
smoke coming out of those barns before.
But
I have seen smoke coming out of the barns.
yes,
Or steam coming out of the barns.
in the latter days, they used gas, but
Okay.
in those days, we used strictly wood.
Okay.
During the winter, we cut these pieces of firewood to fire the barn with, usually about 5 foot long and as big as we could carry. We wouldn't split it up in these smaller that we could carry.
Okay.
And once we got that fire started in the barn, we could control it by the amount of wood we put with that.
Right,
We
okay.
had a thermometer. We didn't open the barn doors, but we could had a thermometer we could pull up to the window and see what the temperature inside.
I see, okay.
It was
Whew.
it was quite a technical
Intensive,
thing.
yes.
But everybody
Yeah.
couldn't raise tobacco. It was a lot of work to it besides being
Right, you had to know what you were
the
doing.
amount of fertilizer you put under the tobacco when
Uh-huh,
you ridge up your land and get it, fix it before you go out and set the plants out.
uh-huh,
And you put a measured amount of fertilizer
okay,
of a certain strength,
right,
which was one of the things that I don't do here, which we should do is go out in the garden and get a sample. And I suspect the county or district has some kind of
a
agricultural
lab, yes.
I've never, I know they
The
do.
University of District of Columbia does.
Okay,
They'll test the soil for you,
okay.
yeah,
I never did do that.
Yeah.
I should have done it.
yeah,
Give you, actually the way we fertilize this, our garden here, is a man somewhere that these kids know that has a horse farm.
oh,
And they went out and rented a truck and got the horse manure.
okay,
We just spread it.
Okay.
through the farm. It looks like it's pretty rich land. It's a pretty rich land if you don't put anything on it.
really?
Yeah.
Huh. Well, you know, this, I mean,
Down
there
that bottom where we're at.
is that historically, do you know where the farm was here? Because there was a big farm here until the
Yeah,
1950s.
Yes, it was the.
Is it the same place where the garden is now? Where the,
I think it was more. It was a cattle farm, so they had more field, more cattle
right,
grazing than they did than they grew. I'm really not sure how much they did grow as far as regular corn.
uh-huh,
But I know they didn't grow tobacco.
right, no,
Cotton
or cotton. But I wonder if if the soil remains rich from cattle manure from way back then, I don't know. I wonder if that's why the soil is so rich here, because of the cattle manure over, perhaps?
It probably is.
Yeah,
Is. And the content of the earth is, as you said, clay. They don't wash.
it doesn't wash
Don't
away.
go through it.
Right.
Don't go through it.
Right,
There's so much sand in some of the land in Duplin County that a pond dries up. That the pond will have a big pond that dried up because it goes seeps right on down.
oh wow, seeps right through the soil, the sandy soil.
And we had a river. I mentioned that we lived on the river. That river has no inlets. It has no above ground inlet. All is from seepage
Oh,
through the sandy soil.
huh. And which means it's full of whatever fertilizer you used, right?
Well,
That means the river would fill up with whatever kind of fertilizer you used in the soil, probably, right?
yes,
And what did you use as fertilizer?
we used a Guiana fertilizer.
What's that?
That's bat manure.
What is it?
They don't advertise. Guiana, it's made different ways, but
Oh, bat dung.
bat dung.
Okay. Right, guano. That's how I've heard it pronounced.
Well,
Okay.
we call it Guiana.
Okay. Guana?
Guiana.
Okay.
Guana.
Okay.
And I'm sure they have mixed stuff that they mix it with that.
Right.
But they always talk about fish. Some
Right.
catch fish and they grind them up.
Right.
I don't know much about that.
So where did you get the guana fertilizer?
Our landlord would buy that and bring it.
Okay.
The fertilizer.
Okay. Huh.
We would distribute it and put it out in the field.
Okay. Now, did you grow any cotton?
Oh yes.
You did.
We grew it.
Okay.
But we didn't have cotton pickers back then, and there was a lot of boll weevils eating cotton, so we didn't grow very much.
Okay.
And since then, they have eradicated the boll weevil, and cotton has come back to us to be a big crop in North Carolina.
Okay. Now, with all this work that you all were doing on the farm, did any of you go to school? Did any of you or your siblings, were you able to go to school?
Oh, yes. And then the schools arranged their start date and so forth to kind of help out the farmers
Okay.
so they got the farming started. And then they would end school. At that time, we only had 8 months school. And we would stay home a lot of times. Let me say that.
Yeah.
To work. I remember my mother would get sick, and my old sister would stay home and help do the washing. And
Right.
you know how we did the washing. Then we have a big black pot out in the heat the water.
Mm-hmm.
Dirty clothes you put in there and boil them, put a little box fly in,
Uh-huh.
and then you bring them up and go through 3 tubs of rinsing water,
Right.
which we had to pump out of a
Hand pump.
hand pump.
Yeah.
And so the boys, usually when they had to wash, one of us boys would stay home to pump the water and take it over to where fill the tubs, which so they could rinse the clothes
Uh-huh.
and help, of course, rinse the clothes.
Whew. A lot of work for you kids.
Yeah.
So how?
It's unbelievable, really.
Yeah. A huge amount of work. You must have been very hungry. You must have had to eat very big meals. I mean, given all the physical labor that you were doing all the time, right?
You have that big meal.
Because you didn't have enough. You just didn't have it.
But like I said, I never remember going hungry.
Uh-huh.
That guy was hungry, didn't know it.
Right.
But it was, we all were healthy all during there.
Uh-huh.
I think the work probably did us good.
Right. Do you recall, what were your meals like? I mean, do you recall, did you eat the same thing generally every day for breakfast, lunch, and dinner for the most part, or?
Well, we usually, for breakfast, we'd have Mother get up, cook biscuits, and in addition to raising this tobacco, on the side we were raising pigs and hogs and cows,
Mm-hmm.
you know, 1 or 2, just a small amount, enough to kill so we would have meat during the winter.
Okay.
We had a smokehouse, we could smoke it and keep it for the next year.
Okay.
Well, so it didn't run out that way. So it does get rancid after a while.
Uh-huh. So breakfast would be biscuits and some kind of meat?
Meat, some kind of meat.
Yeah.
And gravy.
And gravy.
Yes, brown-eyed gravy. Rice was a good breakfast food with the gravy on
Uh-huh.
gravy from the meat I'd just soon have that as to have the meat, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, it's pretty delicious, rice and gravy.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. And what time would that be generally? Did you do a lot? Was there a lot of work to do before you ate breakfast?
That was about 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
Started cooking, when you cook it on a wood stove.
Uh-huh.
I used to get up and watch the mud cook. That's the way the wooden stove is built. They put it up beside the wall with a space